I moved to Coldwater, Michigan, because nothing ever happened there. That was the point. After my brother died, I needed a place where time felt slower, where nights were quiet enough that my thoughts couldn't outrun me. The house I rented sat at the edge of town, backed up against a stretch of woods locals barely acknowledged. It was old, but clean, cheap. The landlord warned me about the silence, said some tenants found it unsettling. I told him silence was exactly what I wanted. The first week was normal. Too normal. No traffic noise, no neighbors close enough to hear. At night, the darkness felt thick, but I slept anyway. On the 8th night, I woke up convinced someone had said my name. Not shouted, not whispered, just spoken calmly, like someone standing in the doorway. When I turned on the light, there was nothing there. I blamed grief. My brother's voice had been living in my head for months. The next night, it happened again. Same tone, same calm delivery, my name spoken once. When I checked the time, it was 2:47 a.m. I wrote it down without knowing why. The third night, it happened again at the exact same minute. That's when I realized something was wrong. Hallucinations don't follow schedules. I started leaving my bedroom door open. Whatever it was, I wanted to see it. On the fourth night, I woke at 2:47 a.m. without hearing my name at all. Instead, I heard footsteps moving away from my room, slow and careful, like whoever was there knew I was awake. I followed the sound into the hallway. It led to the living room and stopped near the front door. The door was unlocked. I know I locked it. The next morning, I asked the landlord if anyone else had keys. He looked uncomfortable and said the last tenant returned theirs years ago. When I asked why they left, he shrugged and said, "Didn't say. Just left in a hurry." That night, I set up my phone to record audio. If I was losing my mind, I wanted proof. At 2:47 a.m., the recording picked up breathing. Not mine, slow, steady, patient. Then my name, the voice sounded like me. Not an impression. Not close, exact. I didn't sleep after that. Over the next few nights, the recordings got worse. Sometimes there were two sets of footsteps. Sometimes the breathing came from right next to the phone, even when I was across the room. Once I heard my brother's voice. He said my name the way he used to when we were kids. I threw the phone across the room and sat against the wall until sunrise. I started searching the house during the day. Closets, basement, attic, there were no hiding places big enough for someone to stand unnoticed. In the basement, though, I found something strange scratched into the concrete wall behind the furnace. Names, dozens of them, some crossed out, some not. My brother's name wasn't there. Mine wasn't either. Yet, I asked a neighbor about the house, an older woman who had lived in Coldwater her entire life. She went quiet when I mentioned the address. Then she asked me if I heard voices at night. I didn't answer. She nodded like she didn't need me to. She told me the woods behind the house used to be larger before parts of it were cleared decades ago. People said there were things in those woods that learned the town's sounds, learned how to blend in. I laughed because that's what you do when something scares you too much to take seriously. That night, the voice didn't wait until 2:47. It woke me at 1:30. It was standing in my room. I couldn't see it, but I could feel where it was, like pressure in the air. It spoke my name again and said something new. "Why do you ignore me?" I ran. I didn't grab my keys. I didn't grab my phone. I drove until my hands stopped shaking and slept in my car at a gas station. When I came back the next morning, the front door was open. The basement light was on. On the wall, beneath the scratched names, was a new one, mine. I didn't stay that night, or the next. I tried to move out, but the landlord wouldn't answer my calls. My lease paperwork vanished from my email. The house stopped showing up on rental websites like it never existed. When I tried to explain this to a friend, he frowned and said I'd never told him where I was living, that he thought I was staying with family. I went back to the house one last time to get proof. I recorded everything. Every room, every wall. At 2:47 a.m., the voice spoke directly into the camera. "You're doing it wrong," it said. "You're supposed to stay." The video glitched. When it came back, the camera was pointed at me from across the room. I hadn't moved it. I don't remember leaving the house after that. I remember standing in the hallway, watching someone who looked exactly like me walk into my bedroom and close the door. I remember realizing the footsteps sounded wrong when they came back out. He smiled at me with my mouth and said my name one last time. I woke up days later in a motel 2 towns over. My phone was gone. My car keys were in my pocket. No one believed my story. When I checked online, the house was listed again, freshly renovated, ready for a new tenant. The woods behind it were a little closer now. Sometimes at exactly 2:47 a.m., I still wake up knowing someone else is living my life better than I ever did.